Jeffries, and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, got a great show today, man.
We do. It's a business show.
Well, it's more than that, man. It's
primarily business. I don't think we're going to be talking Zara Spooks and Carolina rigs with Bruce Akin.
Well, we
might go down that path. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we might do that. I don't know. Does he fish?
We'll have to find out.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure he spent some time in the boat with the guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but I don't know if Bruce fires up the old Starfire 150 fast strike and heads out on the Wednesday night jackpot to catch 3 keepers.
He might. A little fruit jar action going on there. That would be pretty cool. The CEO of B.A.S.S showing up for the Wednesday night fruit jar tournament.
You never know. We'll have to ask him.
He might. All right, great show today, folks. We're going to have the CEO of B.A.S.S, Mr. Bruce Akin, on live via Skype here in about 15 minutes. But, Matthew, a lot to talk about. I want to touch on something, and hopefully Bruce can answer maybe a couple of questions about this situation. Did you see the press release about the Eastern Open?
That they moved it because of the Clemson football game.
Why? Was it a date conflict? I didn't really understand. It didn't say it in the press release.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Clemson during a game week a couple of years ago when I was practicing for the Bass Nation, and obviously you go up is it the Seneca that you go up to get to Clemson that is right on the water there?
Yeah.
And I would assume maybe the final day was during a Clemson game. I didn't compare it with the schedules, but or maybe there weren't rooms that were available for all the staff and
chaos.
stuff. So they moved it just a couple of weeks or
which is a
different.
good move. I mean, people might say, they moved it to, I believe, September 23rd through the 25th. Mm-hmm. But in doing that, man, that's the right move. When Clemson, it was weird because they said Clemson announced their football dates. Well, I mean, I'm used to being around here. The Sooners have their schedule set like 10 years out, just about. Mm-hmm. So I was a little perplexed by that, but maybe
it was
that's
just an oversight where they realized and went and they started to try to get all their stuff ready for that tournament and went, oh, crap.
Yeah, we can't have it on Clemson. It's not the fans of Clemson football. It's the fact that it was game day, and you just logistically and everything else that was going on.
Well, if it's 11 o'clock start, everyone will be out of there because, I mean, based on their schedule this year, it'll be 45-0 at halftime. Traffic will kind of thin out by the end of the second half there.
Ooh, a little hammer there on the scheduling of the purple and orange.
Says the guy who roots for a Big 12 team.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, I also want to mention this. Next week, I am planning on, I received word late last night, we are going to have Mr. Al, I can't remember his last name. What's his last name?
That's McCullough?
Al McCullough is going to be on the show.
The TMPFL?
Yes. We are going to exclusively announce the first 10 anglers that he has signed up for the NPFL.
Awesome. One of the kind of the cool things that was announced late last year about a new professional league that is starting in 2021. You know what's ironic, Mark? He's going to be on the same week that the XFL kicks off.
My neighbor, Bob Stoops, just down the road here,
he
coaching
really
the Dallas team.
Let's not say, it's not like their houses are next to each other.
No.
Jeffries has a very nice house, but Bob Stoops has a castle with a moat around it.
Yeah. That he built, that wasn't there when they built the house.
Is the rumor true that when all those floods happened last year, they got the ditches there and the ponds, that all of Bob's koi ended up in the ditches, and that he had to have his workers, his maintenance people go net the koi, the expensive koi out of the drainage ditches and put them back in the pond.
That is true. All right, here, I have something that would be really, really cool. And I don't know, we'd probably end up in jail. But what we need to do is we need to have Brad Hallman, jump out of his truck with a rod and reel, hop over the fence, and just make 2 or 3 casts in Bob Stoops' pond.
I guarantee he could get that done because Brad has connections.
I know.
I know. Speaking of things that are really, really cool, you got a little bit of a mail call this week.
Oh, very impressive. All right. And I don't know if you can see this, folks, but Mr. Kevin Schneebly. I have issues saying his last name. I apologize, Kevin, because this is really, really cool. It is a lure display.
Schneebly. You're right. He phonetically spelled it out for me on Instagram. Right? You said it. I was wrong. You were right.
Okay.
Mark it down. 8:39 a.m. Tuesday.
That's
February
a one of a kind event there, folks. All right. So he sent me this really cool lure display. It's got the BTL logo on the front, and then it is a topwater that is a bowling pin. And on the bottom, it's got a really, really cool design of a bowling pin. And I'm telling you, Matthew, I think I can catch him with this.
It is. It's a unique design. He actually has a business called First Strike Custom Baits. If you want to check it out, it's just all one word. Your lure and base. I think it's like the 3D printing. Isn't it like the 3D printing? He also does like custom painting. I got a derby coming up on Texoma, Mark, and he said, hey, can you think of any unique paint jobs that you need? And we had Mark Davis on. What did we talk about? We talked about a unique paint job that was hard to get.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be sending him some baits, and he's going to be painting them. But yeah, First Strike Custom Baits. He does like corporate stuff, like if you wanted to do that for your logos and stuff, and then he color matches stuff. He does custom painted baits, all sorts of stuff. So he's actually from my neck of the woods there in Illinois.
So thank you, Kevin. I greatly appreciate that. And we're actually going to go out, and I don't know if the intentions are to use that as a topwater lure, but when things get a little warmer, oh, by the way, we have 7 inches of snow coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, he said, tell him to message me if he wants one he can actually fish with.
Oh, okay, so I can't fish with that
I mean, you can. That would be ideal considering what we've got going on the BTL YouTube channel, but I don't want to lose it. I mean, I don't know if it would rip the hooks out. You get a 10-killer smallmouth on that thing.
Kevin, I would love to get another one that I can actually fish with, and we would film it and see if I could actually catch some topwater fish on the bowling pin.
So we were talking about that then, and obviously I'm going to be filming a lot more kind of behind the scenes, following the season stuff with me and Mark this year that's going to go on the BTL YouTube channel, similar to the AFCO Bass Boot Camp that ran on their YouTube channel last year. And I'm sitting here and I got the Witty Outdoors crankbait there, and you've got some custom baits that have been sent to you. And I said, what would be kind of cool? I said, if me and you get out there and we fish with the handmade custom baits that some of our listeners send us.
Yeah.
And then we could throw it up on the BTL YouTube channel
and talk about it on
kind
the show.
Of some challenges, because I love all the handmade stuff. So there might be maybe a call for maybe a custom bait or two in the future as we kind of get through the rest of the winter and then into the spring, where Jeffries and I can duel it out on the front deck.
I think it's a great idea. So Matt and I will work on that. But if you have any kind of custom baits, custom whatever, could be a Budweiser can with hooks. It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's cool if they make it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the unique stuff that the guys make.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, I'll take a custom. I got someone sent me that Ed Chambers crankbait. So.
Yeah. Send them to us. We will cut a show and throw it out there, and then come back on BTL and talk about it. So once again, thank you, Kevin, for sending that. It's going to remain here in the BTL studio for a long time. I won't go out and use it. As I mentioned, there's 7 inches of snow coming tomorrow. It's not going to be very soon that I'm going to be able to go out and throw a topwater. All right.
You've been what is it called? You've been not one up, but you've They jumped the gun on you, Jeffries.
Well,
Bassmaster
not
did.
the first time.
Bassmaster jumped the gun on you. Brian Brasher came out with his classic odds 2 months in advance.
It's all right. It's way too early to even put a line out there from a betting perspective.
Right.
As which that is how I do the odds every single year. That if Vegas was taking money and putting out a line on the classic competitors, this is what the line should be.
Now, he didn't talk about exactly where his lines sit. Like, it's not like, hey, this is hypothetical bet. It just kind of the numbers. 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. So there's not really a context around this. But you'll be coming out with yours for what, the 10th year now? 10th or 11th year?
Actually, 12th.
12th year.
Yeah.
Sorry.
12th year.
Didn't want to short you the hypothetical betting odds
it's
there.
All good.
But all right, who do you think they came out with as the 3 to 1? There's 2 guys tied at 3 to 1.
Brandon Cobb?
No, Cobb is Cobb is 20 to 1.
20 to 1? Are you kidding me?
Cox is 10 to 1.
Well, that was the next guy I was going to mention.
Daryl Gleason is 80 to 1. The guy's on fire this year already. Catches big fish.
Wait
Toledo
a minute.
Bed.
Back
West
up a
Louisiana.
minute. Back up a minute. John
East
Cox
Louisiana.
at 10 to 1.
Yeah, so here's the top 10. Fighter and Zaldane at 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Canterbury 4 to 1. Corey Johnson 5 to 1. Matt Herron 5 to 1. Bill Lowen, Jamie Hartman, and Keith Combs at 7 to 1. Hank Cherry at 7 to 1. John Cox at 10 to 1. I might venture to say that out of John Cox's 13 events this year, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, he's 10th on this. That might be the lowest he ever finishes or picked in anything.
I'm going to tell you right now, if there was a 10 to 1 line on John Cox in Vegas, Vegas might go broke.
Yep, so go check it out, like I said. But here's the point. The point is, let's get some interest 2 months in advance, get it talking about, get these people.
Good.
So
it's all good.
Anyway,
it's all good, man.
Maybe Bruce Akin sat down with Brian and sat there and hashed the betting odds out before they hit the lake.
No. Hey, it's a cool deal. It's a nice conversation piece. Obviously, I'm talking about it. Yep. We're talking about it.
Yep.
And they're generating interest in the biggest event that takes place in bass fishing.
Along those lines, the season kicks off in 2 days. Actually, practice Sunday, Monday. Today is the last day of practice. I believe they have an off day on Wednesday for the St. Johns River. And then Thursday, we got Bassmaster Live action. We got Rick Klung going for number 3 on the St. Johns. We got a host of new Elite Series guys. Remember what happened last year? You had a lot of Canadians in the mix. Some of the greatest fish catches that we saw of the year, kicking the season off with a bang. So the St. John's kicks off. Fantasy Fishing Group is up on the Bassmaster site. Go to the bassmaster.com homepage. Upper right corner, it says Fantasy Fishing. Log in if you've had a team in the past. If you haven't, you can log in. Then you under groups, you search for the group. Bass Talk Live, 3 words. Join the group. I made it yesterday. We're up to like 150 something already.
All right, very cool. What do you know about Kyle Welcher?
I've talked about him in the past, bro. Remember?
Do you know how he's generating revenue?
I don't know how he's generating revenue.
Dude, he's playing Texas Hold'em.
Really?
There is a great story, if you haven't seen it, over on Bassmaster.com that goes into detail about him staying in Vegas and California. And, dude, he makes his living fishing and playing Texas Hold'em.
Sounds stable.
So we're going to try and get him on the show next week as part of our
Remember I
preview
said
at the
he was
Chick.
that dude who fished let's see if I remember this, fished the FLW Tour in 2012 as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And was it Table Rock Lake? He had like a 22-pound, 14-ounce limit or a 24-pound limit, was leading it going into the third day, and ended up not winning the tournament, but just a super young dude. And then fished the Costa Championship. He's got a lot of action on his YouTube channel. He actually had some really good videos from the Costa Championship and throughout the year, but he could be good. I mean, you look at that first half of the schedule. You talk about a power fisherman. You've got the schedules, or the lakes on the schedule that first half of the year. Guys who like grass, guys who like big sticks, shallow water, flipping, moving, reaction bait, spawning fish. So yeah, he'd be good.
He's big time into the poker thing.
Really?
And Mark,
I didn't know that.
Mark Hicks did a great story. If you haven't read it, it's over on Bassmaster.com. I'm going to read a quote from Welcher here, and I quote, "If you can stay disciplined, you can make a lot of money doing it," Welcher said. "I don't recommend it. 49 out of 50 people who try either go broke or get addicted." Very interesting. His biggest payday playing poker was $4,000. The most he won in a single day was $4,000. The largest pot that he's won is $3,600.
He wasn't at the 1-2 no limit table.
He doesn't. He says he doesn't play the high stakes games and all that. And everything.
Does he play tournaments or does he just play?
No, he plays cash.
2 5s, 2 4, 2 5.
Probably a typical day for him in the story says is between 7 and 12 hours playing poker. Had no idea, man. No idea. So I want to get him on the show and talk about.
Chris Zaldane is also really good. I've played with him a number of times.
Yeah, you talk about a ringer for fish and chips. Holy moly. Jeez.
Yeah, I might have to throw Fred Urbanis out. I have a feeling Welcher won't call a 4-card straight like Fred did back in 2012. But I'm not bitter about that. That's only 6 years ago.
You're still hanging with that. Good grief.
We
man,
had the thing won.
Let it go.
We had Fish and Chips 1, Mark. 2012. We're down to 18 people. We've already done well in the fishing. I pulled Fred aside. I said, Fred, we both have good stacks. I said, the only person that can beat us is Marty Robinson. And if we finish, if one of us makes the table, we win. And Fred's like, okay, I got it. Next thing I know, we're at different tables, and I hear Fred stand up and go all in. And I just told him, blind out, just fold. I don't care what you got. And he flips it over. And he's got a 4-card straight, and we lose by half a point to Marty Robinson.
Didn't you guys get lost going to the boat ramp?
That was the year before.
So I'm not shocked by that sequence there. All right. Wow. Hey, a couple of people were wondering what the address is to ship these lures to. I got to get a P.O. box set up. So I will get an address set up where you can ship all that stuff to. And, man, I love that idea, man. You're the guy that's going to catch everything, but I love the idea.
Every once in a while, I come up with an idea.
Yeah. Oh, he put a picture. There's a better picture of the bowling pin topwater out on the instant feedback.
Yeah.
So
I bet that would have some serious chugging action.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know who needs to get one of those? The half bowling pin, half topwater lure is your man who was in studio.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. Chris Prather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck, you gave him enough tackle, though. He doesn't need any for the next 2 years.
Yeah, he never called me on the adventure that he had on the pond where they were staying out in Arkansas because that cold front blew through. It was like 32.
That's what it'll be by
blustery.
The end of the show today.
Yeah, probably so. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with the CEO of B.A.S.S, Mr. Bruce Akin. Everybody stay tuned on a Tuesday.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lew's doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I want to share with you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can. Stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Meet AFTCO's ICAST award-winning Hydronaut waterproof system. Hydronaut features a 20K 100% waterproof shell, double dry cuffs to keep water out, speed vent hood engineered to prevent neck strain at high rates of speed, AFTCO exclusive Cyclops tactical camera mount, Comfort Flex shoulder straps for all-day comfort, outerwear that you can count on. The Hydronaut waterproof system by AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim-On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, getting ready for a massive snowstorm here in Oklahoma, man. People, they were at the store last night, Matthew, just bread, milk,
tell them,
swarming
Jeffrey.
Off the shelves.
Tell them about the weather.
It's a big deal, man.
Keep the background music. It makes the weather sound more exciting. School closings?
Probably.
Road closings?
I hope you can get here tomorrow.
Food shortages?
Well, that's why all the people were buying all the bread and milk last night.
Oh yeah, you're into the weather talk hardcore right now.
Not really. It's an Oklahoma thing. When there's a flake of snow around, people, they go into a state of panic. So and the weather guys around here, highest paid weather people in the nation, they are just on cloud 9 right now.
Guess what I listened to this morning on the YouTubes?
What's that?
I listened to the audio, but the video of the 2013 Grand Lake Classic, which was the coldest classic in history, where the snow flurries were up there in Tulsa at the beginning of March and stuff. Kind of reminisced about that one. The Cliff Pace win on the jig. Like 17 degrees. They're like, I can't feel my hands.
It was chilly.
I don't think we'll have to worry about that on Gunnersville.
Hopefully not.
No.
Hopefully not. All right, it is time for our special guest today. Very, very happy and honored for the guy to take time out of his busy schedule to join us. We welcome in the CEO of B.A.S.S, Mr. Bruce Akin. Bruce, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, guys. Glad to be on.
Oh, thank you so much. As I mentioned, very busy schedule, especially this week, kicking off the 2020 season on the St. Johns River. And you have to be excited about, once again, the Elite Series field and so much positive stuff going on with these anglers and kicking off at a great fishery once again there in Florida.
Yeah, we're very pleased, and I'll fly down tomorrow for a few days. And, of course, that's where we kicked off last year at the St. John's. Of course, everybody around here wants to kill me for getting 2 elites in before the Classic, but, it's a little busy with that as well. But, as you said, we have a lot of good momentum. I think this is the first time since I've been at B.A.S.S, since 2011, that everybody accepted their invitations to the elites as well. So we'll have a little larger field size this year. We had no attrition, so we'll be fishing with 88 this week with the 11 invited, and then the 2 legends coming back with Brandon and Gerald. So we'll fish 88. Be a little bit different than last year, but certainly not like 105 to 110 like we used to fish. So I think a good balance and ready to get started.
Bruce, I know you want to look forward to this season in the future, but I want to go back to 2019 and really get your input and your take on how you would summarize the 2019 season with everything that took place in the industry. What are your thoughts about 2019?
Well, we met the challenge, I think, and it was a challenging time in the fall of 18. But I think we came out in 19 and got a great start to the season on the St. John's. We adopted kind of this new slogan, Big Bass, Big Stage, Big Dreams, which was a very successful campaign. As you indicated earlier, a lot of new people last year. We did a lot about the Meet the Elites and the new guys on tour. I think people, know them now with all the coverage they got last year in all of our things, live through, .com, through the magazine, social media, television. So we feel good, radio, about that we had all the anglers on every platform that we had last year. So we feel like we did a good job of exposing everyone, a lot of the new people, the guys that stayed before. It was a different year. The Classic was a little different. But, I think everybody got through it in always, taking the high road, which we, preach around here, and really think that, at the end of the year, we feel very good about the year we had and the momentum we had going into this year. We had, attendance was sort of even with last year, where you think we might have some fall off from the previous year. We're expecting that to be even better this year with these big bass factories we're going to. But all in all, we were very pleased. But have to keep things going, and a lot of hard work by the team and the people here and the anglers. The anglers were very good. I think really enjoyed the competition throughout the year. The new guys in that, a lot of hammers that did come in. I heard you earlier mention some of them that will be coming this year. The John Cox of the world. I think he's already won one this year.
Yeah.
So he'll keep it down and going. Buddy Gross, a lot of them that came in. The Canadians, Johnston Brothers, Gussie. So I think it added a new flavor, to the Elite Series as well.
Bruce, a lot of people on the instant feedback, and I know a lot of people that I have spoken with, both anglers and in the industry, the sustainability of some of the changes that you brought forth in 2019, moving forward to 2020 and really beyond. What is the sustainability of the way that you've structured your entry fees and your payout going forward?
We feel good about it. We have gotten input from the anglers all along. You can now regularly get feedback from the anglers. Of course, we in the end have to do what's best for the business and the industry. But we feel like we've got a good balance. We hear a lot from our guys. You got one side that likes no entry fees, but balance. A lot of them say they like to have skin in the game. They like to have, be competing for, bigger purses and the likes. But I think all in all, I think it says that we may have it about right. If you have 100% of the people coming back and 100% of the people invited coming to the elites, that sort of confirms, I think, what where we are. We also, pay all the way down the field. Continues to be debate about that, whether it should pay down the field or, pay for performance. And we think it's a balance. There is payment for performance, but there's also, some, minimizes the risk some with the paying out everybody at least I think it's $2,000 or $2,500 each tournament. So you're really, the net entry fee ends up being less than $20,000.
Bruce, one of the cool things that happened at the end of last year was Carl Jocumsen winning there on Lake 10 Killer. Everyone, you kind of followed his story and his struggles back and forth and then ending up on top. Also, you have the Takumi Ito, who qualified through the Opens to fish. You mentioned the Canadian anglers, the Johnson brothers, Gussie. I mean, you have 3 different countries and 2 different continents represented on the Elite Series. I know the Bass Nation has a wide reach of anglers from different countries coming in. Talk a little bit about Bass's plans with kind of the international flavor and flair kind of moving forward in the next couple of years. Is that going to be kind of one of your focuses too on broadening this, especially after the reception of what Carl got in Australia following his Elite Series victory?
Right. I think it just happened naturally. I don't think it's that intentional. We do hope that we have international representation. Like I said, the Bass Nation, we have just one coming from that. We have more and more coming in into the Opens. I noticed one of the rosters last year, I think it was the Eastern Opens. I don't know how many of the Japanese anglers were in that. So, I think it's continues to be something that they aspire to. I think Carl said another guy from Australia is trying to qualify through the Opens as well. But that was a exciting victory for Carl. I know he's been in the elites and then was out for a little while at FLW and came back this year, and I'm glad to have him back. He adds a lot too, not just international flavor, but also just his approach to things as well.
All right, Bruce, a lot of questions on the instant feedback about this next subject. It's somewhat near and dear to me because I grew up on the West Coast, and so many people out there, they want to see Bass in the Elite Series and even an Open Series exist on the West Coast. I understand the expense that everybody has to incur going to the West Coast, but are you considering, and if you are, when do you think that Bass will make a move to the West Coast?
Yeah, we're definitely considering it. Opens, I don't know, probably more likely to be out there with the elites next. We were scheduled to be there in 19, and then we got a lot of pushback from a lot of the anglers, and ended up changing those two West Coasts. We were going to Tri-Cities, Washington, and Sacramento on the Delta, and we changed those to, I think one of them was on Gunnersville at Scottsboro, and then I think Cayuga maybe was the other one that we changed to. So we moved those back east because at the request of the anglers, really. And then, but we do plan to go back out maybe as early as 21. We're looking at schedule now. We're starting to, schedule 21. And as we plan that out, map that out, we're certainly considering going back out there. I think the majority of the anglers, it is more expensive for them and for us. But I was talking to a West Coast angler one time, and he said actually it cost him as much or more living on the West Coast to do the West Coast tournaments because of the back and forth than it does just going east and staying east. So, but a lot of considerations that go into it. A lot in California. There are permitting issues that you have to, permit the tournament pretty far in advance compared to some of the other locations we go to. But we hope to get back out there. We had a good swing. Last time we were out there, I think it was in 16 maybe, and 15 or 16. And, when we went to the Delta and then we went down to Havasu, and had two good tournaments there. So, we'll want to get back out there at some point.
All right, I have a selfish question, and Matt and I have talked about this. The 50th Bassmaster Classic is going to take place on Lake Gunnersville. Great place. What I want to know, Bruce, was it ever taken into consideration to go back to where it all started at Lake Mead for the 50th Classic?
There were a lot of, people that would, suggested that. But I don't think we ever seriously considered it. I mean, a lot has changed since that first Classic. You'll recall it was a mystery, lake, and they all got on a plane. I think there were like 24 or so in it at that time. Now we have 53 in it. And I think, certainly the fishing conditions have changed over the years. I'm not as familiar with that as our, conservation and tournament people are. But we just felt like in the end that it would be good to go to where our headquarters is, where it started, in Montgomery, in Alabama. This will be the 13th in the state, not as frequently in recent years as it was in the past in Alabama, the 9th time in Birmingham. So, it's roughly, I guess, a fourth of the classics have been in Alabama. So, we just felt like that was good. We worked with the city and the state, and they were, receptive to it and really wanted to make a big deal out of it, which we're, doing. It's going to be a great classic. A lot of planning has gone into it. But I think we thought about some other places, but and other lakes here in Alabama. But in the end, we felt like Gunnersville, will, certainly, produces big bass over and over again. And even with the drive to Birmingham, I guess it's about an hour and a half or so, thought that would kind of win out. We had a great classic in 2014 as well, doing the same thing.
You mentioned the numbers on the first Classic and then this Classic, and I was just thinking, there's 88 Elite Series anglers this year. With the way the Opens are structured, you have 4 in each division, then the 4 who fish all of the tournaments, their top 4, which is 12, which would then bring that number to 100 in 2021. Do you guys have an ideal number for the Elite Series? Is that fluid? What are the plans moving forward, and when does guys have to start worrying, I better catch them this year or else I'm back to the Opens?
Well, moving into 21, we'll have, people that came in 19 all had 2 years. The new people this year, the newcomers, will have 2 years. And we have a group that has a 3-year commitment. So we will, in 21, start that, but we'll gradually get back down. I think ideally we would like to be in the 80 or 75 to 85 area, but that'll take a few years to get there. We don't want to cut too many like in 21. But right now we just put that out that we'll to the field. We plan to cut 10, and then we'll have 11 coming in if all of them accept. Again, it was an anomaly this year that all accepted. Typically, out of the 11 invitations, we'll typically have 7 or 8 that accept the invitation. Of course, 19 was a real anomaly, but I think we'll get back on track where we're, cutting about as many as we bring in or more. And then after 21, we'll probably go to, cutting a little larger percentage of the field. Everybody, but the 2 years is give everybody a chance to get established, especially with sponsorships and used to the competition and that kind of thing.
Kind of along that lines, and obviously the feeder system to the Elite Series is the Bassmaster Opens. You guys had great success in the first Eastern Open in Florida, a waiting list, a full field. It looks like the Centrals are going to have a lot of people in them as well. A lot of guys talk about the payout in that, the 4 tournaments. There's no championship anymore. Is that also kind of a fluid situation on what your plans are with the Opens moving forward, with all the interest, potentially adding a 3rd division, kind of restructuring that payout so you can make a little bit of money outside of the top 3? Or, I guess you got people showing up, so why change it if it's still working?
Yeah, there is a lot of demand for it, and I think the changes this year created more, even more demand with the changes at the, FLW as well. People looking for new homes. We also added a 4 anglers overall. We're taking 4 from each division, and then 4 in overall points. And this year too, another sign that I think it's about right. We're always playing with the payouts and entry fees and all to make sure we're in balance and have the demand that we're looking for. Of course, the win and you're in at the Classic is a big draw as well. But we have the overall. I think we've got like a little over 50 anglers that are signed up for both divisions of the Opens this year, the East and Central. And last year, I think I had them run it for me. I think we had 11 or 12 that fished all of them. So we added that overall this year instead of 5 from each division. So there'll actually be 12 plus the Bass Nation person. So there will be 13 invitations for 21, which also, put it a little more out of balance. But we felt like this year, again, it's a transitional year, and felt like that was the thing to do to have the overall, points race as well.
I'll put you on the spot then. When are we going to be able to see the list of the guys who are fishing both divisions?
Well, I don't know. We could probably get that out now that everything is confirmed.
Because that's where the race is.
Yeah.
Because obviously you got the guys like Scott Martin and Brian Latimer, Brad Hallman, those guys. But you guys have a quite the list of names in the Opens this year, and a lot of attention on that first Open. That's going to be a race that I think is followed just like the Elite Series all the way through the end of the season.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, and I think Falcon Rods, I think, is sponsoring the Opens AOY race this year, so it should be good.
Bruce, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts and really your opinion on the competitive atmosphere that exists now in a tournament organization company? Is it like anything from a sponsorship standpoint, from an angler standpoint? How competitive is this situation for you running your company compared to everybody else out there that offers, somewhat a similar type of atmosphere and platform?
Yeah, I think it's competition's good overall. I think you touched on it. I think it affects sponsorships, competing for anglers, and all. I heard you earlier mention a new professional series that's coming in. Frankly, we don't think there's room for 4, even 3 professional circuits, and of course we'd prefer there be one. Us, but that's not likely. We feel like that, and we feel like that our opens, people have called it AA in years past. We feel like it's certainly at least AAA, and is because of the classic and the elites getting into those, the path to that. We feel like they're very strong as well. And that in a sense is a professional or some professional league, but yeah, we would rather have 2 or 1, but the fact of the matter is there are 3, and I guess soon to be 4 professional fishing leagues, but we're ready. We're ready to compete. The Andersons, who are majority owners now, are committed to the business, and I know that Chase and his family, he's sort of the lead person in the family. He's here in Birmingham every day, working his butt off full time, and so we feel really good about where we are and what we've done with the competition. We've gotten we had some losses just because the money gets diluted some, and for the most part we've gained all that back. This year, I think after they saw the results that we delivered on what we said we would deliver on. So competition is good.
What's your biggest challenge as being the leader of this organization going forward?
Well, I think just keeping the momentum going, being innovative. What we not to focus too much on the professional leagues is we want to provide more beginner information too and get more people involved as fishing as an activity as much as a sport or a tournament. And we put a lot of effort, a lot of time and energy and resources into conservation. Our high school and college and now middle school is taking off. And that's built around competition primarily, but it also is, I think that, the future generation. We've got Get Hooked on Fishing, where we're trying to get young people, multicultural, inner city, and just, across the board and try to change that. Families, we're reaching out to that more. You'll see more lifestyle, kind of outdoor lifestyle fishing, but still connected to fishing in the coming year on the website particularly. And we're starting, I don't know if you saw the new kayak series that will start before the Classic starts. We're excited about that. Really great reception to that. We think that brings in a different demographic that sponsors and advertisers want to reach as well.
All right, Bruce, we've seen it on the website. You've actually talked about it. A number of other people have talked about it. High school, college, the kayak series. But it seems to me that something that gets, I don't want to say lost, but just not mentioned that often is the Bass Nation. Across the nation right now, the structure of the Bass Nation, it just seems like it's all over the place depending on what state that you're in. Do you see, or how in the future do you see your involvement with the nation, and what does the future look like for the Bass Nation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we think it's still got its place. We it's different than it was. One thing we're doing with the Bass Nation is the kayak series, for instance, is there could have tournament, trails within the Bass Nation as well as the tournament trail that we're running with the 5 events. And then, high school and college and the youth is very integrated with the Bass Nation. Even the team trail championship that we have, Bass Nations, and it varies by state. All of it does, as to how active they are. And that goes for high school, college, the adult as well. And we still feel strongly about, the nation. I think it's changed, what it means and what it, how it's organized and the backing of it. And remember too that each state has its own organization there. We have overall guidelines and things for the tournaments and as it relates to bass, but each state sort of is run independently. They set their own, local chapter dues, their own state dues, and then we have, I think it's $30 as the national dues. We do, we provide some insurance for the nation for their tournaments. So it seems to, be working, now, and kind of, I think it kind of found bottom and has started back up the last couple of years, the adult as well. And I think it's some of those things that we've done with the team and now the kayak, and that encourages more participation by people, and they're not just trying to get to the classic.
It is. The Bass Nation's big. I mean, you look at the Elite Series this year with Caleb Summerall, Brandon Polinick, Paul Mueller, and then Cody Holland. You got who just won this past Bass Nation. So you have 4 previous Bass Nation anglers that are on it. Has there ever been talk about standardizing that Bass Nation so across all 50 states, the anglers who make their state team then have to go through the same process? I mean, as opposed to someone who fishes a weekend in one state because that's how the Federation does it, and 8 tournaments in another state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We talk about it all the time, but again, we come back to that the states, they're autonomous. We don't own the Bass Nation, but we're affiliated, and try to support and all, and try to provide resources nationally where we can. But the qualification, those things, we do have some standards with that. Is that the ones that come to the divisions and the state teams, there are some parameters on that. Once they get to the state teams, I forgot it. Exactly how many, 10 or 12, I think that per team on the state teams. And we've tried to, for this year, we had cut back to 3 divisions and regionals, and this year I think we're at 5 of those. And because travel was becoming burdensome on a lot, because if you're in the West, it's a long travel day to somewhere in the West, but when they start having to come east, it's a lot of travel, and we had the championship in Hartwell this year, so it was interesting that I thought interesting this year with Hartwell that nobody from the South was in the top 3. I think they were from, one was from Connecticut, and the other 2 were from, I think the guy that won was from Portland, and then the other was somewhere in the Northwest, maybe Washington State or Idaho, and I think he was across from, I think it was, he lives in Washington, but he was fishing on the Oregon team. I think, or the Idaho team.
A lot of cross-state fishing going on.
Yeah.
That's what James Biggs did last year at Oklahoma. He's like, hey, I'm going to come up and fish Oklahoma. He's from Texas, and he beats us by 25 pounds in the regional.
You know what I got to say, Matt?
What?
Catch him. Don't worry about it.
No, we fished the regional, Bruce. I'm fishing on the Oklahoma team. Biggs is. I said, I think it'll take 70 pounds to win this. He goes, I'll bet you 20 it doesn't. This is the first day of practice. Second day of practice, he comes back in. He signs a 20, gives it to me. He goes, you're right. It'll take more than 70. I'm going to catch more than 70. Goes out and catches like 80 pounds in 3 days.
The Bass Nation is very important, though. John Stewart, Hank Weldon, they do a good job, great job with it. I think it's, still, a very viable, good job. The first event I went to was the Bass Nation Championship. I think it was called the Bass Federation or the Federation Nation or something like that back in the day. But it was in Monroe, Louisiana in November. And it was the one that Brandon had won the year before. And I was visiting with him there, and I guess, he could have defended his championship, and he wasn't fishing because he had already qualified for the Classic through the elites, and he wanted to give somebody else a chance. And I thought that was very stand up there. And, at the time I knew very little about the tournament structure or anything like that. Had not been to a Classic yet. Actually had just started fishing, so that was an eye opener for me.
That was our next question. We were asking before coming in. I mean, what is your fishing experience? If I remember that right, so that would have been about 2010 that Brandon was in that. So you're about a decade in. I mean, you go out fish a lot. I mean, what do you just call up Keith Combs and be like, hey, I'm coming to Texas, take me out?
Well, do have that opportunity, I guess, but I don't fish as much as I would like to. I tell people it's sort of like when I was growing up, my dad owned a car wash with another guy as a kind of a second job, and we had the dirtiest cars in town. So I think it's that way in the fishing business. People think we go fishing every day, but get out a fair share of it. I do kind of like catching better than fishing. I like going to these private lakes, and just got back from Mexico fishing down at Picachos, and that's a lot of fun. I think that maybe it was 11th or 12th time I've been down there. We usually go like in January and July and take some customers down there, but a lot of fun. I've actually, I think, caught like two over 10, one in Mexico and one at a private lake that one of our owners has. So, but it's been a lot of fun. I grew up in Scottsboro on Lake Gunnersville, and my brother-in-law, fished, and he would try to get me to go out all the time fishing, and I would go out, but I would stay backlash, half the time. So half the day in the hot sun, I'm getting, backlash out. So that didn't last long, and then I got back into it in 2011. In fact, funny thing about that is Don Logan I worked for back at Time Inc. for 23 or 24 years, and he called to see if I'd be interested in coming being the CFO, and I said, I haven't done finance in 30 years, and I don't want to, and you don't want me to, but if you want somebody to run it, I might be interested. So he said, now I'm going to find somebody that fishes to run it. So a few months later, he called back and said, hey, are you still interested? And I said, well, what changed? He said, well, I decided it'd be easier to teach you how to fish than somebody else how to run business. So that's how I got here.
What's your favorite technique? Like if you had a go-to to be like catch one fish, what would you go to?
I love topwater.
Oh my gosh, you and Jeffries. If you say Carolina rig next, we're done here.
I don't do the Carolina rig. That's too much rigging for me. But I like the chatterbait. That's worked lately.
Heck yeah.
For me, and usually, of course, a lot of plastics down in Mexico. I like the spinnerbait a lot. I caught one of my 10s on a spinnerbait, and then one of them on a little Fat John crankbait in probably about 4 feet of water down on a private lake. So but it's been fun. And of course, we got a lot of good teachers around here too, that are always looking for an excuse to get out of the office. So we do that. First trip I went with a pro, I went with Randy Howell back in, I guess, right after I started. I already knew Randy, and we went out and I caught a bird, a heron. I was throwing it everywhere, and somebody at the boat, Don Logan, said, "Hey, throw it over there, see if you can catch one of those birds." And I was about halfway through the cast and had braid on, and that new heron came out and got wrapped up in the braid. So yeah.
I got one more question then. You guys have an iconic magazine in the Bassmaster magazine. I mean, I think pretty much everyone who listened to this show grew up with that Bassmaster magazine, and you talk about, there it is, right there. He's on this at the Canterbury cover. I remember growing up and just waiting to see who's on the cover of Bassmaster. You go in any of the pros' homes that have been on the cover, it's like front and center when you walk in. So a lot of live coverage, a lot of digital coverage, a lot of social media stuff, a lot of changes going on. How important is that print magazine that goes out every month that you see in the car parts store while you're getting your tires rotated? How important is that magazine to Bass still?
It's we think it's critically important. It's the primary membership benefit. Like I said, it's been around. It is something that people have in their homes, a lot of pass along. I think it was something like 8 readers per copy. So in those waiting rooms and the car wash and the tire store, as well as the membership, we were growing the membership. And like our statement just said, second half of this year we had 514,000. We'll be going to 515,000, then up to 525,000. More and more, we're also adding digital memberships as well. Some have both. Some get both the print edition and the digital edition, and then some just get the digital edition. So I think you'll see us transforming as we go, but we're thinking and hoping and working toward the print edition being around for quite a while. We're at 9 times a year now, and don't think I know going into this year we felt like that's about right. And the circulation, people say, why don't you increase it more? Well, the membership, as you may know, is sort of the advertising rate base for advertising sales as well. So we feel like that we've got advertisers that are willing to pay for $500,000, but advertisers are trying new things too, and we say we're indifferent to how they spend the money as long as they spend the money with us, and but they can allocate, our sponsors, the advertisers can allocate their funds however they want to, and television, digital, print. 2 magazines, Bassmaster and Bass Times, which Bass Times actually gets very high marks from our people that subscribe to that as well. So we feel like it's all important that we have all the vehicles, media properties that we have. We got the biggest platform in that. We've had that integrated platform for years. People talk about a 360. We've been 360, and certainly as long as I've been here before. We had a radio. In addition to ESPN, we're now on Pursuit channel for the first 2 quarters of the year with re-airs. So we feel really good about that we're giving the consumer options that they can go anywhere and get the information they need 24/7 every day of the year.
Bruce, to follow up on Matt's question, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Is digital more important now than television, and has television kind of lost its luster from a sponsorship standpoint?
Well, I think it's an integrated thing. I think it's not one without the other. Of course, our television production company, JM, that we own over in Little Rock, produces live as well from studios and all. And of course, we use the same cameras, the same hosts, the same talent on the live as we do the radio. And I think it's so integrated and so blended now. We air live on ESPN3, or whatever it's called. They watch ESPN3
right.
Simultaneously. It's simulcast at the same time as on Bassmaster.com. So we just think it helps expand the audience, and different people come to that for different things. Television actually grew. Our audience ratings for television grew. The first half of the year was up 50-some%, and then as we got into the fall, and we were competing, for times a little bit more, it came down a little bit. But I think we finished the year 40% up from 18 and 19 year over year comparison. So we feel like it's still got its place too. We're at I think 25-30 hours. This year that we're airing all the originals. I think 18 hours of original, and then the rest are re-airs. So we're balancing that as we go, and as demand dictates. But we've already got kind of the investment into the production. With live, and we do some editing, of course, for the television show. But feel like that we'll just keep watching, ratings and, sponsorship demand and advertising and such, and, go from there.
All right, Bruce, you may not know this, but I'm curious, have you or any of your staff had an opportunity to talk to Ray Scott lately? Do you have any idea how he's doing? Is he doing better? Any information about Ray?
Yeah, Ray's. I think he's not doing well enough to, be at the Classic. People have asked me about that, and we're, kind of asking. He's missed the last couple of years, but Ray's still, we'll hear from him every once in a while. He'll pick up the phone. Jim Kent's that works with him. We usually work through him. I know I've got to call into Helen a severe or two to, see about coming to the Classic. And she's still, active as ever. I think she was inducted in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. But Ray is, certainly, started it all. And we revere him. We did get a quote from him the other day for the Forrest Wood piece that we did about Forrest, and it was very very well done. But I think he's just probably not in good enough health to come to the Classic.
All right, can we expect anything different for the 50th Classic that's going to take place in Birmingham? Is there anything that you could tell us and the fans about? It might be a little different, might be a little innovative. I mean, what can you say about the Classic?
Yeah, one thing that we're doing this year is we're doing this, the kayak series on Thursday. We will have media day like we usually do in the middle of the day. It will be down at Regents Field again, down there. That turned out to be very good in 2014. But Thursday we're going to have a kickoff party, kind of a block party, street party in uptown Birmingham. That's really developed this time. So Thursday I think it's 5 to 9, and it's really a lot to try to get the local community out and involved and exposed to the fishing and the Classic and the sport. So I think that's the biggest thing that we're doing. A little bit different. We'll have bands. We'll have some I think some craft beers, and we'll have a lot of things. We'll also kind of, instead of doing the sponsor party on Saturday night that we usually do, we'll integrate it in with that. We've got I think Cantina Laredo blocked out that night for that. But the uptown area had just opened last time. I think some of the restaurants weren't even open in 14. Of course, the new Westin Hotel's there. The Sheraton's been renovated. There is. They did finish all the road construction that was going on that we were a little concerned about, but they finished that 60 days early, which I think was the maximum incentive they could get. So you figured that was going to happen. So they did get that done. So the roads coming in, easier access in and out. They are starting the stadium construction, which was where the boatyard was last time. So there will be a little bit of change. That's being constructed for the World Games that are in 2021. But we really expect, we're already sold out for the expo. We found additional 5,000 square feet or so last week down there, just trying to find any, places that still could, have good traffic and all. The arena, actually, they will start the renovation. We're the last major event in it before they start renovating it for 18 months. So next time we're in Birmingham, the new, shiny arena as well. But I think the biggie is that we will also have college and high school tournaments on Smith Lake the weekend before. That'll really kind of kick off Classic Week. So that will be exciting to be a regular, big field tournaments. And then we will also still have on Saturday, I think, and Sunday, the college and high school sort of the exhibition for the local teams and the leading teams. It's been announced too that we're going to have, Academy is going to have the Briarwood team that's won 2 national championships high school. They're going to sort of be honorary competitors on Saturday, be the lead boat out. They won't, officially be in the competition, but it'd be a neat experience for those kids. And they had a pep rally a couple of weeks ago for that. And then, so that'll be on Lay Lake. I think Saturday and Sunday is the exhibition. And then Logan Martin is where the kayak tournament will be on Thursday. So those are the locations of previous classics have been there as well on Lay and Logan Martin. So, we hope to, get some, good crowds out for that as well. We got a lot of local partner sponsors this year that we haven't really had in the past. Jack's, hamburger local place, Thompson Caterpillar. We'll have, I think we've got 9 or 10 of them. TVA, the fishing's Gunnersville on the TVA Lake, Alabama Power has these other 3 lakes I mentioned that we'll be, doing some things on. So they're a local, partner as well. So we're Coca-Cola, the bottling company here in town, participating. So, we've got a lot of activities, around it. And really looking forward to it. I think this block party is going to be really neat and maybe something that we do, every year after this.
You have to break your diet, Jeff.
What happened?
Street tacos.
I know, man. On the instant feedback, that's what everybody wants to talk about. They want to talk about the street party. Where's it going to be? What time does it start? And Bruce,
I'm sure you could find that on the Bassmaster website as it gets closer. I mean, that's 2 months away. I don't think Bruce knows when the street party starts. He's got 2 Elite Series events and a 500,000 people to take care of first.
Yeah.
We're really getting close to a month out. It's I think what's today, the 4th?
Yeah.
It starts the 6th. So
I guess it is.
Classic night will be the 4th of March. So a little earlier than last year, a week or 2 earlier than last year. So.
All right, my last question, and this is something that I've spoken about on this show numerous times. Is there any chance, Bruce, that you guys would be willing to move the Classic around to where it's not always in February, March, or April?
Yeah, potentially, but again, I think it works real well, to be then. We used to do it the third weekend in February, what we shot for. And, what we got is some feedback, particularly boat and motor sponsors, that it was a week after the Miami Boat Show and didn't give them much turnaround. So that's kind of started it. And then when we ran into the weather in Tulsa and Greenville in February, we said, maybe if we move it on into March a little bit, we'll be better off. we kind of shoot for the first to second week in March is what we're looking at now. The other thing has become, it's a consumer show. ICAST is a big trade show, but we're sort of the biggest consumer fishing show now, and people got to where they introduce products now at the Classic, and that's just a good product introduction place. What some people don't realize how big the expo is as well. We usually sell right around 200,000 square feet, to give or take a little bit of sold space at the Classic Expo. And, again, each year that and attendance has grown, over and over each year. So we feel good about it. We hear things about people, how they used to take family vacations in August and that kind of thing. But although the fishing gets a little tough, I think, in most places in August. So I think we'll leave it probably, like I said, in March. It feels like a good time, the first, second, third week in March. I think we were the third week in March in Houston a few years ago. But, but it seems to work pretty well.
All right. What's it like not having Dave Preck around there at all? Off to retirement.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. He was kind of my main fishing teacher, so I'm on my own now. Sort of. I brought him back for that Mexico trip so I could get my line spooled, reel spooled and such. But he's enjoying it. In fact, I just got a text this morning that he and Don are out fishing yesterday and today, and so. I think he's really enjoying it. I've seen him, pretty good bit, travel a lot, grandchildren and all, but it's, we miss him. But I tell you, on the communication side, Emily Harley has really jumped in there and done a great job for us. I know you worked with her to set this up today. On the editorial side, James Hall is doing a great job. Brian Brasher, on digital, we got Jim and Sexton and Thomas and Chris and all the gang there. Emily on social media. So we've got a real good team. I think he was, we'd had some heads up on his retirement, and it's always tough, but lose somebody you're that close to, because we got a group that fishes, and I call us the grumpy old men, and I think we still got that together. But most of them are retired now, so I don't know what that says about me. But one of these days I'll get out there with them and be able to go on Monday and Tuesday every week.
All right, Bruce, man, I can't thank you enough for spending almost an hour with us, and I think the fans enjoyed this interview, and look forward to seeing you at the Classic here in about a month. And your staff, a big thanks to everybody that you mentioned on making this happen, and really appreciate you and your staff and everything that you've done to try and help us.
All right. Well, thank you. Come see us when you're in town.
All right, man. We'll see you soon, Bruce. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, take care. There you have it, Bruce Akin, the CEO of B.A.S.S. And it's kind of interesting. It's definitely a situation where they are in a competitive environment, and he admitted to that. And I think what they have going on, there's a lot of status quo there because they're doing a lot of things right. But at the same time, they're going to have to continue to be innovative in what they're doing. I think, and the instant feedback kind of blew up a little bit when we started talking about the Bass Nation. And what crossed my mind when I was doing that interview is I saw the shield that was behind Bruce. One thing that I just don't see anymore is that shield in the left-hand corner of pickup trucks on their back window.
You're fixing to see one about 3 times a week in your driveway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But seriously, though, that was a staple of that iconic brand at the time, that everybody had that shield on the bottom left-hand corner of their window on the back of their truck, and you just don't see that anymore.
No, you're right. I mean, I see it occasionally. He did say one thing, and I wrote it down. He said they would prefer. He admitted they're in a competitive environment, and he said he'd prefer to be one. Us.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God someone said it. You're in competition. You want to win the dang competition.
Yeah.
He didn't wish ill will on anyone else.
No.
But it's nice to hear someone say, yeah.
We want to win.
We want to be the guys. None of this foo-foo crap that you hear from other things about how we want everyone to be so successful.
Let me ask you this:
stuff.
how many anglers do you hear that say that? We're all in this together. No. Step out on a limb and go, hey, I want to win. I want to be the best.
Oh, for the angler wise, yeah. I mean, for the anglers, I think it's beneficial to have healthy competition with multiple healthy options because, once there is one, now you pretty much do what they tell you to do if you want to fish tournaments.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I think you're dead on, though. That was an epic statement that was made by saying, hey, we want to win. We want to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm interested, and we kind of dove into it, maybe not exactly a question for him, but I've said this before. I think there was an opportunity there, and there still is. They've partnered with other organizations before for the weekend series, and they've got the team tournaments where you get the guy in the classic that way and stuff. But I think that there is a desire, especially with this kind of grassroots growth that you're seeing after the split that was 20 years ago now with the TBF, and then it went to the Bass Nation, to have for lack of a better term, a BFL level Bass Nation that you can win money on and qualify for the Classic. I want to see Polinick and Mueller and Sumrall, during the Bass Live talk about, dude, I was watching Bass Live in Sumrall's case, or I was doing this, and this was the path. You want to talk about a clear path for minimum amount of money to climb the ladder?
No, I'm with you,
It's the freaking Bass Nation, Mark. It's there. I've done it. I've been.
That's why I brought
2
it
bites
up.
away from the Classic.
It goes
before.
back to the history of this organization too, allowing the weekend guy, the Federation guy. I'm still going to call it the Federation because that's what it is, even though it's the Nation now. Anyway, it's just an epic achievement to be able to have that opportunity to make it to the Bassmaster Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line,
I think there's a lot of people who don't understand what that path is and how clear that path is to get it from your club to the nation to the state team to your regional, which is now split into 5 regionals, to the Bass Nation Championship, to the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, I was right next to Caleb Sumrall's boat. He was just a kid who had quit his job, had a baby on the way, and now he's an established Elite Series pro. I remember Polinick on the cover of Bass Times in 2010 going, how do you say this guy's last name? And Paul Mueller almost winning the friggin' Classic, finishing second on Gunnersville there, and going, man, this guy, he could catch it, but he's not great off camera. And now you interview him like that, and he's like a polished machine. I mean, all those guys started in the Bass Nation: Connecticut Bass Nation, Idaho Bass Nation, Louisiana Bass Nation.
I know, man. I know. I'm with you. The other thing too, it didn't sound like, based upon what he said, the discussion about, and I wrote it down, skin in the game. Remember the comment that he made about the entry fees and the structure, the sustainability? I foresee, and he gave me an indication that everything's pretty much going to be status quo and continue the way it is. I feel, just my opinion, based upon what he said and the feedback that I get from a lot of the anglers, I don't ever see them going to a no entry fee format. I just don't.
No.
They get the $20,000 back. I think. Based upon
is that a tax deal? Like they get interest on the tax of their entry fees or something?
Well, they still have to pay tax on it.
No, I meant Bass. Okay, here's my question. If you're paying let's just do round numbers. You're paying $40,000 entry fee. You're guaranteed $20,000 back.
Yeah.
Why don't they just do $20,000 entry fee?
It's a good question. It's 6 one way, half a dozen
That's
the other.
That's what I'm saying. It's a heck of a lot easier.
And then you don't get taxed on the $20,000,
right?
Because it counts as income. I don't know. Should have asked him that. I didn't think about the numbers.
I just assumed it was because that Bass gets to take it because when they do it, that they get a little bit of interest on it before they give it back to them because it sits in their account, so they make a little bit. There's certain scratch on it,
dude. I know there's certain states out there, and you brought up a good point that your winnings get taxed immediately.
Yeah. Is that like a placebo thing where they're like, oh, our guys will feel better if we give them $2,000 at the end of the tournament?
I don't know.
It's like their per diem per tournament to get them to the next one.
But the float is a good point. You make a great point about the float, about them having all that money to be able to.
That's a business term that I'm not familiar with. A float is what you fish for with crappie in the spring.
No, that's not it when it comes. Anyway.
You see Dave Mercer's show? He's using a float.
No.
Using a float and a plastic for smallmouth.
Really?
I sent him the link to the Saturday Night Live. You know where I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
What a great way to end that show. Sorry.
Anyway, man. All right, good show. If you missed the first part, highly recommend going back and listening to the first part of that show. All right, here's what we're going to do. Folks, I'm going to talk about the weather again just real quick. We are expecting... They're calling between 5 and 7 inches of snow here in the Oklahoma City area tomorrow. Matthew, you got to make the call on whether or not you can get here tomorrow. No.
Well,
what are you going to do?
I'll check, and if not, I'll just Skype in.
But see, we're supposed to do the Sunline Hotline show. And I don't know if I can somehow, some way manipulate that to where we can take phone calls and Skype you in at the same time.
Well, can you figure it out tonight?
Well, I already kind of messed with it a little bit, and I don't have it figured out yet, but here is what I thought we would do.
Wait, so you have to have me on Skype and be able to take a phone
calls. Yeah, through the system, through the board.
I mean, I'll try to get here.
We'll wait and see. The other thing that we could do, because I can't do a show on Thursday, I'll tell you why afterwards. It's pretty funny what I got lined up. But we could move it to Friday if you don't have anything going on Friday.
I mean, I was going to pre-fish for the jackpot.
Dude, it's going to be 40 degrees with snow still on the ground. Are you kidding? What jackpot are you fishing?
I don't want to say.
10 killer?
I don't want to say.
Keystone?
I was going to fish the 10 killer and then see if there's one on Grand on Sunday. I need to bass fish. I really need to bass fish, Mark. That's what it comes down to.
Well, we'll play it by ear, folks. Right now, we are scheduled to have the Sunline Hotline show and give away the HDS 12 Lowrance unit to somebody that has done a review on iTunes. So
hopefully it's just not as bad and I'm able to roll in and the streets are great.
Yeah.
You know, Oklahoma's used to 7 inches of snow. I'm sure they got the roads prepped.
No, I think they have 2 snow plows is all they have. 2. But they usually keep the turnpikes open because 44 is a very important part in logistics across America.
Yes, sir.
So we will wait and see. If Matt can get here, we will do the show. I will keep everybody posted on the website on what's going on for tomorrow. But that's kind of the plan. If not, we will try and reschedule maybe for Friday. But we're going to have to adapt to the weather. Hopefully the weather people here in Oklahoma are wrong. And we just get a dusting and Matt can get here no problem. So that's pretty much it, Matthew. Good show. Next week, look for the schedule out there. I know we're going to have Al McCullough on for the top 10 people. Yep. And then Monday, we're going to have a MLF angler live Monday morning from the site of their first event next week.
It's Eufaula, right?
Yeah. And then Tuesday, we're going to have a Elite Series angler live from the water during practice at the Chick. So that has been set up. We just don't know who the angler's going to be yet. And we'll go from there. So you guys are going to kind of get some insight on what's going on. Big week bass fishing next week. Both the
it is the
Elite,
week.
Yeah, Elite Series and Major League Fishing, BPT going on at the same time. So hopefully, folks, we will talk to you tomorrow with the Sunline Hotline show. That's it. We're out of here.